Going live. We're live.
All right, we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Phire Football Radio. I'm your host, Matt McGrath, as we always do, and Luigi Capola is along with me. Usually we have Eric Harkins and Zach Smola as well on the show, but unfortunately, as last or 2 weeks ago, because we missed last week, which we'll explain in a bit, but Zach is at Temple for dental school, and Eric is also in grad school at Quinnipiac. Couldn't be us, Luigi, though, could it?
Heck no, Matthew. No, I could not be in grad school at this very moment. I needed a break. I heavily commend my two co-hosts on their endeavors, but could not be me. I am enjoying the working world right now. Good to be back though after a nice little 2-week long hiatus. But it was for very good reason, as Matt said. And Matt, I think you should tell the stream where you were last week, if they don't know already.
Right. But as a reminder for those who have listened to us in the past or have not, this is the third episode of the Phire Football Radio Show for the 2023-2024 NFL season. We will be live on YouTube Live every Wednesday night starting at 7 p.m. to bring you the latest news, rumors, and more about America's game and the league we all know and love, the NFL. Week 2 and week 3 is what we missed. Was wild as always. A lot of upsets, a lot of blowouts as well, as we'll get to, and we're going to break it down as we always do. But we are missing Eric and Zach Small, as we mentioned. Eric potentially could join the show at the end for the picks once he's done with class. I know we haven't spoken to Zach, but Zach might be able to join the show at the end of the picks, which he did 2 weeks ago. But yeah, let's get right into it. So I wasn't here last week. I did post a video as an update, and a lot of people were upset that we had to cancel the show last Wednesday, which, as I said in the video, it breaks my heart. We never liked, especially when we were at UConn, Luigi, we never liked
missing a show at UConn was absolute sin for us. Absolute sin.
Absolute sin, because we loved getting in the studio. And I mean, this is a little bit less high tech from what we were doing back in the studio then, with thousands of dollars of equipment. But we've been able to make it work. Man. I know. The more I talk about it, the more I miss it. But we've been able to make it work anyways. And we are making it work today. Luigi is Matt McGrath, as you can see. And I am also Matt McGrath. Unfortunately, my computer last night shit the bed. I'm going to swear, because it did shit the bed. And
it frankly did.
It frankly did. I got a diagnostic from good friend Anthony Tapia, and I might need a new Windows operating system. So
wah, wah.
I'm working off my phone. Luigi's got my he has my account. So we're able to still live stream on the YouTube.
Guys, I am Matt McGrath today.
Yes, he is. And so we weren't able to do the show last week because I was flying on my way from Newark, New Jersey, all the way out to San Francisco, California, to watch primarily the Giants and the 49ers in Santa Clara. Amongst a lot of things, I went to Alcatraz, did a lot of sightseeing, spent some time with my family out there, which was a lot of fun. My uncle lives out there, and then my aunt and uncle also live in LA, so they were able to meet us down there too. Good time with my cousins, and unfortunate for the Giants that they did lose for me, and I now am 0-2 in games. I went to the 40-0 blowout with the Cowboys in week 1, and then I also went to the 30-12, which for majority of the game, it was not a blowout, but at the end it was game last week. And the only game I did not go to was the comeback win over the Arizona Cardinals, which we didn't get to cover last week. But anyways, great experience. It's beautiful out there. The only downside is that it is $5.50 a gallon at the time. Incredible.
Not that it's $3.90 here anyways, but gosh, wow.
Incredible in interesting ways. Nothing good about $5.50 in gas. And it's not great here, but it's a lot better than it is out there. But anyways, it was a great experience. The stadium out there has so much character at Levi's, and it was refreshing going from MetLife to Levi, because MetLife is literally just a tin can in the middle of a swamp.
Yeah, it is. But it's got a lot of character, Matthew. We love the tin can in the swamp.
It has 1 playoff win for the Giants. It has 0 for the Jets. So, I mean, you look up at the Levi and it says Home of the Faithful across where we were sitting. We were sitting in section 109. Great seats for a football game. It was loud. I didn't realize at the time until we got to the stadium that it was the 49ers home opener because they had opened up against the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh week 1. And then they played against the Rams in SoFi in LA, the second game. So, Luigi, the fans.
Home opener.
Right. They traveled well to both of those games, and the Rams game looked like a sea of red.
Yes, we love that. We absolutely love that. Unfortunately, I was unable. Personally, Matt did offer. I was unable to make it out to San Francisco, and trust me, when I say this, I will probably always forget it, or regret it. But Matt and I will make another trip out there, hopefully with more of the boys. So, it's been a great couple of weeks for me. I am still one of the 3 undefeated teams going up against the subpar Arizona Cardinals, though they did just knock off the Cowboys this week, which we'll get to here shortly. But the 49ers, man, they're on a steamroll and path right now. They look pretty unstoppable. Purdy has been playing fantastic. The defense has been playing out of this world as expected. I'm happy, man. My football world right now, it is just a big old smile. And unfortunately, my co-hosts here, they all have losing records at the current moment.
I think what are we combined? We have 2 wins combined?
You are combined 2-7. Yeah. Yeah, you don't even have as many wins as the 49ers together. It's unfortunate. But hey, maybe that'll change this week. I think it will. At least I hope it will.
We'll see.
Yeah, we're gonna find out. But it's been good. I missed doing the show last week. It's great to see all Matt's photos and videos from his trip. And you know what, Matt? Let's get rolling, baby.
Yeah, it was a great trip nonetheless. I mean, Giants win or not. I personally didn't. I told you that I didn't anticipate them to win. I don't think anyone really anticipated them to win. All I wanted them to do was start the first half better than they had in previous weeks. The first week, they got blown their doors open from the snap, basically the end of the first drive to the finish of the game.
Absolutely.
Second game against the Cardinals, they're down 20-0 at the half, looking like a similar outcome. Then they're down 28-7, and they score on every drive after that. And then there were the rumors that Brian Dable was calling the plays for the Giants, which I think are true. We had the binoculars out on Thursday night. We were in section 109, so we were in the lower bowl, but it still helped to have those because we were looking at Dable, and Dable did have the play sheet again. So I'm thinking he's calling the plays in the first half. Their first drive was pretty solid, got down. But there's a lot we don't have to get too much into this game because it really wasn't close in the end, but there's a lot to fix about this team. The 49ers are stacked. I am still very happy that we were right to put them as number 2 in our preseason power rankings.
Absolutely. Listen, I as biased as I am towards my 49ers, and I always will be, I like to think our rankings here are not affected by my true feelings towards my team. Maybe they are a little bit skewed, but I think putting them in the 2 spot, more than well-deserved. They were runners-up in the NFC last year, went on a 12-game heater to finish the season. There was no reason to not have them in that top 5. No reason in my heart to not have them in the top 3. And I think they found their spot at 2. For the preseason rankings, I think the postseason rankings, they might be a little higher.
Yeah, right now they're the number 1 team in the NFC. I know we're only 3 weeks in. We got a lot of season to go. But the crazy thing is that we're almost a quarter of the way through the NFL season.
Stop. Don't do me like that. Once we hit that week 5 Thursday night game, 1 quarter down, bro.
I know. It's nuts. And they extended it by a season a couple years ago, and now we have 18 weeks, which feels like more. And they expanded the playoff scopes to 7 teams in each conference, which we get 2 extra games in total. But it's still, you wait all off season. It's the longest off season in sports. And then the season itself is long. It goes from September to early February. So it's not like it's short, but man, it flies like this because you only get to see 17 games for each team at the minimum.
Yeah. You get 16 a week for those 17 weeks. And They shouldn't do bye weeks. Bye weeks are just useless. Let's add another game. Make it an 18-game season. Come on, even 18.
You would be a great owner in this league.
No, well, yeah. I mean, in terms of what all the owners think, yeah, absolutely. But I wouldn't, with that sentiment right there, not a player's owner for sure. Personally, I don't think it should have been extended. I love watching extra football. Please do not get me wrong on that front. I will take all the extra ball I could get. But in terms of players' health and their longevity, it adds up. One game a season doesn't seem like enough until you play 5 years, and that's 5 extra games right there. That's an extra quarter season than we had previously. So it adds up. You're only going from playing 10 or 12 in high school to 12 or 13 or 14 in college. And then you play the big 18 weeks, you get your 17 games in, and you could go even further to 21, 22 games. So, I digress. Lots of football. We watched a lot of great football this weekend, and also a lot of just boringly wild football too. Weird week. Definitely a strange week. We had some close games, some not close games, but even the not close games were interesting. Obviously, we like to get into the injuries first, so I'll give Matt his podium here.
Well,
we could talk.
I was going to say, I mean, speaking about the extra games, I mean, there's a handful of injuries that unfortunately happened this week that are very detrimental. Something that I do not see on this list, but we didn't get to cover last week, was the injury of Trayvon Diggs tearing his ACL because we didn't have the show. And
I forgot we have 2 weeks of injuries. That's ladies and gentlemen, I am ill prepared. Should have put the last 2 weeks of injuries on the board. I only put last one. Matt, you go ahead.
It's freshest in people's minds.
I'm going to try to throw some more injuries on there that I could pick up from major injuries. So go ahead, get rolling.
Yeah, well, I mean, a major injury from last week that we didn't get to cover, as I said, was Trayvon Diggs, star cornerback from the Cowboys. He tore his ACL at practice, and he might have been the best corner in the league in terms of passer rating. I mean, he had a 1.0 passer rating, which is incredibly low. And I mean, his whole career, it's been, this guy's a ball hawk. He can't cover. He can't cover man. But through 2 games, he was the best corner. I mean, things will change. Like they played the Giants, which the Giants didn't get to throw at all because they don't have an offensive line. And then in week 2, they played the Jets. So Zach Wilson, which we're going to get to at I'm sure at some point, because Zach Wilson is just a disaster. But I also digress from that because we're not going to talk about that yet. But Trayvon Diggs, massive loss for the Cowboys. It clearly already showed. I forget who I was talking to, but I mean, they did lose against the Cardinals and lost by 12. Mm-hmm. The offense didn't play as well as they should have. They ended up giving up 28 points. And so, it's not all on Trayvon Diggs not being there. But for the rest of this season, Luigi, it's going to be a huge problem not having him out there. You traded for Stephon Gilmore to be on the opposite side of him. You have potentially, before he got hurt, a generational defense in the last 10 years that we've seen. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is going to be detrimental, is it not?
Absolutely. I mean, listen, we do have some flack that we do like to throw around at Diggs and have done so, and you covered some of that, but you can't deny his numbers. I mean, over the last 2-3 years, he's led the league in interceptions overall. I mean, he had the 1 year, 2 years ago, 2021, where he was the league leader, had an interception in the first 7 games of his sophomore season, went all pro, was fantastic. And then the next year, the interception numbers dropped, and everyone starts talking about, well, he's kind of getting burnt on these plays. But, everyone very, very intently zeroed in on him and made sure to watch every single piece of his play, because calling a guy an all-world, all-pro, and doing that every year, you're going to get high level of scrutiny. And if you're not playing the way you played the year before, you're going to get tossed right off that mountain. But he has been fantastic for the past 4 years for the Cowboys, or this was year 4, unfortunately. But, it will be a detriment. You have these great teams that he's going to be playing against. The NFC East has an absolute gauntlet of a schedule. He's going to they have to face the Eagles twice, and that's tough to do when you have Devontae and A.J. Brown on both sides of the field. I mean, You got other great teams, but you're playing the AFC West this year. You have, I mean, even the lowest of the AFC West, the Broncos, Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton aren't a small task. Devontae Adams in Las Vegas, no small task with Jacoby Myers on the other side. It's just going to be an absolute battle for this defense. And you saw it already this week. You mentioned the loss to the Cardinals. It was eminent. The Cardinals secondary played absolutely fantastic as a side note, but it was shown. Marquise Brown had a very good game. He was playing very well, and so was the rest of the receiving core, kind of having their way a little bit with the Cowboys secondary. And obviously right there, you see the loss of Trayvon Diggs plays a big role.
Yeah, and something I want to touch on that you brought it up. I mean, obviously we're proud that we put the 49ers at second, but I mean, us and everyone's mother put the Cardinals last, and we gave them a 2-15 record. And through 3 weeks, this Cardinals team has looked so much more competitive than we ever thought that they would be.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, you have the Giants game. They're up 20-0 at the half. Fantastic. They beat the Cowboys this week 1. They even looked pretty competitive for what we thought was going to come out of the Cardinals. I mean, week in and week out, Josh Dobbs has put on a show. He's playing very, very good football behind what we thought was going to be a terrible, terrible offensive line, but has held their own so far. They play the 49ers this week, so you have a huge test, but they just beat the Cowboys, who were coming off of Mount Everest. They were at the tippity top. A lot of power rankings out there had the Cowboys at 1, and if not at 1, in their top 3, rightfully so for Cowboys fans. They're a very good football team, and they still will be without Diggs, but going forward, it's going to be tough. But we did get to see a little same old Cowboys show up this weekend. I really, I was thinking the past 2 weeks, wow, this is a different Cowboys team, man. These guys, they're ready. And, we love the memes, the Cowboys fans memes where this is our year. They were pretty valid for those first 2 weeks. They really, really blew the lid off the Giants and played very well in week 2 and got the win. It was looking good. And you lose Diggs, and you lose this week. Your center didn't play either. Mr. Tyler Biadasz. I probably botched his first or his last name, but it's going to be tough for Cowboys fans. It's an uphill climb, but you still have a very good team. And Cardinals looked very, very competitive.
Yeah, how about them boys?
How about them boys?
No, I'm not gonna be Stephen A. Smith. I'm not. I mean, I am biased because I hate the Cowboys as much as anything in life because I am a Giants fan and I love to see them not succeed, which they haven't over my entire lifetime. They haven't even made it to an NFC Championship game, and I don't root for the injuries. Obviously, I want to see Trayvon Diggs go against our receivers. I want to see him go against every other receivers. I never root for injury. I was upset when he was going on. I think I texted you guys and I was like, what is happening? Because every single day we're seeing a season-ending injury, which, I mean, obviously we see that every year, but this year it seems like a lot of big stars are going down super early in the season. But yes, they looked before this week like they could have been the best team in the league. And this is why the league is so amazing, because we're 1 week removed now from that sentiment last week, which we would have been talking about last Wednesday if we had a show. Oh, the Cowboys are great. They just blew off the doors on the Giants, but it is the Giants. But they were dominant, the most dominant team in week 1. Then they go and play the Jets in week 2, blow their doors open 30-10 at home. Now they're coming in to play arguably what we thought was the worst team in the league in the Cardinals. And we think they're 12.5-point favorites. I took them in both of my suicide pools, which already 16-man suicide pool. One of them is done. Congratulations to Chris Dorenzo. I don't know if he's listening.
Sure hands, baby.
He picked the Chiefs. He was the only one. Yeah, sure hands picked the Chiefs. And he is a Cardinals fan. So good for him for, both of those things.
Yeah, big week for those
things. Huge week for Chris and sure hands. But this Cardinals team looks better than we thought, and maybe this Cowboys team is a little bit worse than we thought. I don't know. A stat that I found was that the Cowboys are 1-7 in Arizona since 2008. I don't know why.
Interesting, because the Arizona Cardinals are typically a terrible, terrible home field team.
last year they won less games than the Chiefs did in their stadium, and the Chiefs only won 2 games. One was a regular season game that they played against the Cardinals, and the other one was the Super Bowl in their building. So if that shows you anything about how bad they were at home, at least just last season, I don't know why the Cowboys can't win in that stadium, and I wish I knew that, because I don't think it would have changed me picking them in the picks for Phire Football Radio, but maybe it would have strayed me away for whatever reason, just to take them in the suicide pool.
Yeah.
Carlos from Pauling says Dallas weakness is QB. Dak didn't play well.
You didn't miss, Carlos. You did not miss. You're absolutely right. Dak played like dog water. He hasn't been his first 2 weeks. His defense took care of him. He just had to play decent. I mean, the first week.
Well, he didn't throw a passing touchdown against the Giants.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, they scored 40 points. So.
Yeah, and his defense took care of him the first 2 weeks. They really, really did. And he had to show up to play some ball and didn't do so. Tony Pollard, he played really, really, really well. He had almost 20-something carries with over 120 rushing yards in week 3 this week. But, they did not show up. Mr. Dak, what's happening, Mr. Dak?
I don't know, but we'll see where the Cowboys end up going. Who do they have this week? Let's see. The Cowboys have the Patriots, 7-point favorites at 425 at home, which, it'll be easier for the Cowboys back to be in Jerry World in Dallas, but the Patriots didn't look horrible.
Patriots have not looked horrible in any of the 3 games.
Their defense is very good. Shut down corner who they drafted, Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon. Fantastic.
They still have all the Joneses in the DB room too, playing very well.
Judon's playing well.
Yeah, Bentley's playing good. The defense is good in New England, man. Who would have thought?
Well, in the offense, they only put up 15 points.
Offense is garbage.
They're still working stuff out. They've been in every game that they've played, and it was enough to beat the Jets, but the Jets have Zach Wilson, who might not be playing this week, but we'll see.
We're going to find out.
We're going to find out. All right. We're going to get to the Pats in a little bit. It is 7:28. I believe League of Zest, Griffin Massing, massive Bills fan, Mafia warrior, is going to come on here soon. But before that, Luigi, I don't know. I'm going to run through some more of these injuries to bang these out of the way. But I want you to check the chat, because I can't see the chat at the moment. I want to see if anything's going on there.
Let me go to the chat. Let me get to there.
All right. Well, first, Chargers wide receiver Mike Williams tore his ACL in the third quarter of the Chargers game against the Minnesota Vikings in their win, 28-24. Really unfortunate for them. Having him and Keenan Allen on the field was making Justin Herbert look like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, which he has looked in the past, but I don't think he has. Does he have a turnover, Luigi? I don't think he does.
Who was that? I'm sorry. I was
Justin Herbert.
Justin Herbert. He did not have a turnover this week. I don't believe he's had one this season.
I think he had 400 yards and 3 touchdowns.
He did not. I can tell you he has not had one this week.
And they didn't have any in the first 2 games, which they lost both of them. And they finally won one against the Vikings. And the Vikings, Brandon Staley's an idiot. I don't know why he went for that 4th down in their own territory with a couple minutes to go. And you could have punted them back. I don't know why he did that. Luckily, the defense held up.
Very luckily. Absolutely.
He is quite lucky that they're not 0-3.
Yeah, he is. They're very close to 0-3, and he's very close to an incredibly hot seat, which, he flipped onto Vikings coach Kevin O'Connell this week, but he was getting close, Mr. Staley. Chargers, I just looked at Herbert on fantasy. He's the number 1 fantasy quarterback right now.
Right. Statistically.
He has 0 interceptions, 0 fumbles, and 6 or 7 passing touchdowns. Tough. Absolutely tough. But
let
me read some of these. Let's hear chats.
Let's hear.
So Robert Shippers gives us a Niners number 1 in the league for sure. Fins are close. Loisel, Mr. Ryan Loisel, watch out for the Niners. Chris Durant, he said the 49ers L as they play his Cardinals this week.
Sure hands.
Now, Ryan Loisel, great comment here. Let's see. Can we talk about what's going on in Jacksonville? Trevor Lawrence hasn't improved. Is it panic time?
Mm.
Now, great question. Great question, Ryan. Love the question. I agree. It was a really interesting week and 2 weeks,
Interesting
two
week.
losses. Two losses on
Yes.
the Jags schedule for the past 2 weeks. Is it panic time? Not quite. Not quite. He's still the number one overall pick from 3 years ago. He's been playing good in the last 2 seasons. He really picked it up at the end of last year. He's got a young-ish receiving core that has been injured. Now, Ryan, to your big point, in week 2, both Calvin Ridley and Zay Jones left the game for a good portion of it, and were not full to goes for practice at all throughout the week. Then they come to play on Sunday, and it was a tough go of it for them. Obviously taking the loss, but Houston stepped up big. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Matt? What are your thoughts?
I mean, I think it's a little premature to panic. I mean, he, as you said, he threw for over 4,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, and only 7 interceptions last year. He was fantastic in his sophomore season. And in our preseason preview that I actually did, I thought he was going to take a massive jump. Now, has he taken that massive jump yet in this season? No. And that's a little bit disappointing, especially for those who have him in fantasy and for Jaguars fans, because you added Calvin Ridley, who had a fantastic week 1. But since then, I think he had 7 points last week and had 5 this, or maybe reverse that, 5 in week 2 and 7 this past week. He dropped a touchdown that should have been had. I had a touchdown parlay going with him. Tyreek Hill scored immediately. I mean, that
instantly
I
wide open in the middle of the field.
I was getting on my flight, or I was in the air about an hour and a half, but I had Wi-Fi so I could text. And my friends who I'm in a fantasy league with at home, hit 2 weeks ago, a 4-touchdown anytime parlay. And now I'm responsible for giving one every Sunday. So I got 3 out of 4. I got Kenny Walker. I got Tyreek Hill this week. And I got, who was the last one? Ridley didn't score. Jerome Ford. He assisted with the, it would have been like 10 to win 160. Calvin Ridley failed us. He dropped a touchdown. So that's not Trevor Lawrence's fault. Meanwhile, this Jaguars team in general got their doors blown open by the Texans. Surprising.
It was an absolute
17.
Yeah, it was an absolute show. 37-17. Texans put up big points. Their defense showed up and played very well against the Jaguars, but I think their offense was absolutely the star of the show. Jaguars defense was not getting pressure on young CJ Stroud. The Texans offensive line is looking pretty solid for how young they are. They have I believe 3 guys within their first 3 years in the NFL starting on that offensive line there in Houston. It was an impressive show. CJ Stroud hasn't thrown an interception either, if we want to add to the fire of Herbert here. And he's balling out. He's been throwing for almost 30, 40 passes every single game, almost 200 and 300 yards. He's, I believe, 4th in the NFL right now in passing yards as a rookie.
Fifth in passing yards.
Oh, I was off by 1.
Only 4 yards behind Matt Stafford. He has 906.
There you go. 906 in your first 3 games, I believe, is second most all time to a rookie. I believe if I heard that correctly earlier today. Incredible start. I love that they're letting him just absolutely let loose. And the fact that he hasn't thrown an interception with that, he has no cap on him. The Texans look very, very interesting. It's a little bit that 49ers culture that D'Amico brought over, You know how it goes. Mike McDaniel brings it to Miami. Saleh brings it to the Jets. I love to see 49ers succeeding. But, yeah, the Jaguars looked very subpar. Their defense was nowhere near interesting or impressive this weekend, and the Texans took advantage.
Yes, they did. And CJ Stroud has looked very good with, honestly, not a great team, but a very young team. Dameon Pierce, Nico Collins is kind of breaking out right now.
Young Tank Dell, the rookie wide receiver.
Tank Dell, yes. They and the defense has played well. I mean, Eric was talking about the Texans defense in week 1, and he was like, hey, oh my gosh, who did they draft at 3? I'm blanking right now. Will Anderson looked very good and has looked very good in each week, and the defense is pulling it together. D'Amico Ryans, this is a culture move. They hired Lovie Smith last year, too old, out of touch, no culture there. You had Davis Mills as your quarterback. You get C.J. Stroud at 2. You trade up for 3 to get Will Anderson. And, I mean, this is a brand new team now. And there's still a lot of pieces missing, obviously. But now you can compete in not an overwhelmingly great AFC South. But we expected the Jaguars and still expect them to win the division. But ultimately, it's a long season. And, I mean, crazier things have happened. So
absolutely. And it's never easy when you're coming off of a Chiefs game because the Chiefs beat up on you. Steve Spagnuolo really, really gets in the head of his offenses he's playing against. But yeah, Ryan, great point with the Jags there and Trevor Lawrence having a little rocky start. The chat is a very fun place. Pat Morrisroe joins the chat and goes, "Sorry I'm late, fellas. We stink. Start Trey Lance. Love it. Ryan Shippers, Cowboys to lose in the first playoff game, cash it.
Okay.
Then we get a crazy one. The Jets should try to get Levis from the Titans, says Robert Shippers. And the chat, they were interested in it as well. They liked it there. It's really interesting. We got some cool quotes here, but the League of Zest has entered the room. We're going to bring him in here now.
Yeah, let's bring in the League of Zest. Dolphins fans, I apologize. We haven't talked about the Dolphins yet, which they deserve their time.
We'll get there. You won by 50
so,
points. We'll get there.
Hang in there.
Mr. Griffin.
Matt, Luigi, actually Matt and Matt. How are you gentlemen doing today?
The two Matt McGraths. Oh, Griff, awesome to have you in, man.
Oh, I've been itching to come on. Couldn't come on after week 1. I was texting you guys throughout that game. I was like, "Oh, we're gonna take Zach Wilson down. Aaron Rodgers is done. Never pray on an injury." I mean, I heard you guys talking about that with Diggs, but never pray on an injury. But thought the Bills were gonna be able to get it done. It came out week 2, got it done. Got me super excited for week 3. Was nervous going into this game. The Commanders' defensive line, I mean, those guys are scary. That's a scary defensive line. And Howell had, up to that point, had 2 decent showings.
Mm-hmm.
I think he still has a lot to learn, but
Absolutely.
definitely not the worst quarterback in the league.
Nope.
No. But I show up to FedEx Field and I thought I was in Orchard Park, New York. When I tell you these tailgates were 80% Bills fans, not even kidding.
Incredible.
Bills fans, including all the super fans who go to all the games, Pinto Ron, the chefs, all those guys, all the energy just carried into the stadium. The whole time I was sitting 6 rows up from the tunnel right behind the Bills, screaming my head off the whole entire game. And the game was close-ish for the first half. Like, they didn't blow the doors open on them until the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. I mean, they were dominating the line the whole entire first half and second half, but it was 16-0 at half.
Yep.
I remember going to the bathroom and just being like, they could give this up. Because the Commanders got the ball back. And but wow, that defense.
It's coming together, man. It's back-to-back weeks. Up huge.
Yep. Yeah, I think they took that Jets loss very, very personal. And they're going to carry that forward through the rest of the year. And obviously after the first 2 games of the season. Man, must have been electric to be down there just surrounded by Bills fans in what claims to be enemy territory.
Oh, well, should I mean, you guys posted the photo of me.
Oh, absolutely.
Should I quickly explain the glove incident of
absolutely, sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, before you do, I don't know how you did. You just that picture was in the last of that slideshow. Did you know they were taking pictures, or did you?
No, I just went through, and at the beginning, I was like, "Well, these photos are all at the beginning of the game. I know I really wasn't in the stadium." And then I started getting towards the end. I'm like, "All right, I know where I was because I was right by the field." And it was the second to last photo. me and Bill Woon.
Billy.
So in that photo there of a nice father and his son, I'm gonna be nice. The son was a fat kid. The players are running off the field. Jordan Poyer throws his gloves up. The dad or his son grabs one of them. The other one goes behind them. There's a railing in front of me. It goes right in front of me. I'm grabbing down, have it in my fingertips. The dad grabs it from me and just like gives it to his son. And at that point, I'm a 22-year-old. I was like, all right, I'm not going to fight a dad over a football glove. Moments later, Dawson Knox comes running over, throws the dad and the son his gloves. Both dad and son get both. Right after Knox, Dalton Kincaid, because the dad's wearing a Kincaid jersey, so of course Kincaid's going to give him his gloves. He gets the Kincaid gloves. So they got 6 pairs of gloves within a 90-second span, and I'm sitting there like, I can't beat up a child right now, but
oh god.
I mean, you can call me like a crazy fan, and like I get it, and like those adults who go after autographs, like we all know that they're a little much, but that kid has never really known bad Bills football. He didn't grow up in New England through all of the Super Bowl.
It's very true.
Era.
You went through it, Griff, for many a year.
Yeah, I'm shocked that guy already has a Kincaid jersey. I mean, that's
cool too.
Yeah,
that was impressive. Yeah, I mean, I need to get a Terrell Bernard one. That's my next one. He's gonna be a stud.
All right,
absolute stud. And then the highlight was though, I got Brandon Beane to smile at me. Him and Terry Gazula, the owner, were right by the exit at the end of the game, and I was chanting, and he looked right at me and gave me a smile and head nod. So I left the game very content. Also watched a great game. So
excellent, Griffin. I mean, yeah, it's a good game. It's cool that you made the trip down there and got to hang out with Boone and head into enemy territory. But yeah, that was a Bills home game, and it seems like I mean, it's going to be the Commanders until they really turn it around. They're not going to have a strong fan base, and even they were 2-0 going into this week, and clearly they didn't.
Quick point about them before I let you guys continue the show.
Sure.
Name change. What do we think?
What do we think it will be?
Yeah, because it's obviously changing.
Yeah.
I think they should go back to the football team.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I like any of the options that they put out there.
What were the options? Do we have options?
Oh, do you have the list up, Griff? They came out with more options of it.
New ones? I mean, I know that they always like the Hogs. Like that's always one that they throw
The Hogs
around.
could be all right.
I know people want the Redskins back. All the fans.
Yeah.
It's all.
I would
Redskins
like to see the Redskins back too.
Massive petition to have the Redskins back. I think that would be right.
Yeah, I agree. But thank you guys for letting me join in.
Big game this week, Griffin.
Will be calling in later on. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I guess I should probably touch on that. Big Red will be going. Big Red will be in the.
Oh, right.
So that I'm excited for that. He'll get to see. I mean, they can't flex it because it's so early on in the season. But this has to be the game of the week.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, I was surprised that this was a 1:00 game. To be honest.
Well, so the reason it's not the game of the week is because when they're setting the schedule, Chiefs Jets probably looked really good.
It looked really good. Yeah, a couple of my buddies from home are going to Chiefs Jets. Meanwhile, they thought obviously Aaron Rodgers was going to play, so
they're going to have fun watching Zach Wilson
or Trevor Siemian. We don't know.
Trevor Siemian, yes, big. Or hopefully not Kirk. Kirk cannot go there.
Regardless, they'll watch Mahomes and Kelsey, and they'll get to experiencing the Chiefs in this dynasty era is good enough. So they'll like it. But Griffin, 3-point favorites for the Bills at home against the Dolphins. I looked at past games. Dolphins have only beat the Bills like 1 out of 6 times in the last 7 matchups. And it was the game in Miami last year.
When it was 100 degrees and we were cooking on the sideline.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Josh Allen is 13-4. I want to say 13 touchdowns, 13 touchdowns, 4 interceptions against Miami. I mean, he has their number. I'm
Yeah.
obviously more interested to see the other side of the ball, really.
Absolutely.
I think that's where it's going to be. But we're going to get to Tua. It's bound to happen.
Absolutely.
And this defense has already injured one quarterback, so
we'll see what happens.
We'll see. We don't root for injuries here.
We don't root for injuries here.
I already stated that earlier in the show, so I can.
It's now clean.
But no,
now clean.
And in all seriousness, it's going to be a very, very good battle. And as long as Josh Allen doesn't play like week one Josh Allen, I think we have a very good shot at winning this.
I'm excited to watch the game. Absolutely, man. It's going to be a big test for that secondary. I like your defensive line versus their offensive line. Obviously, they had their way with the Broncos, but the Broncos' defensive line is a lot different than yours. Hey, good luck to the Dolphins. They're going to get crap stomped by the Bills this week. I have a good feeling about it. I got a good feeling.
Well, I love your energy. I can't have that energy.
But I know you can't. You get very nervous about your Bills.
Yeah,
luckily,
I know.
I'm playing the Cardinals.
I'll be live texting you both.
Yeah, luckily I'm playing the Cardinals this week. I have a little less on my shoulders. Not Chris. Chris, I already see you coming at me in the chat. I know you're not actually, but I could see it on its way. I have faith that the Cardinals will put up a good fight.
The Cardinals are legit. They beat the Cowboys, so
Kyler Murray coming in a couple of weeks potentially. Griffin, big game this weekend. Divisional game, first game against the Dolphins later on this season. It'll be in Miami instead of Buffalo, but a 3-point advantage to a team that just put up 70 points last week is pretty big. It'll be interesting to see what the defense can do. Very dominant defense against the number one offense in the league with the Dolphins. Before you go, Griffin, any update on Von Miller?
I wore his jersey to the game.
In hope that he would play.
that's the closest he probably got to the field. So no, I don't know. How about DeMar Hamlin? Same thing. Are we just gonna pity spot? That's another topic. But after this week, he's eligible to come back. So we'll see.
Good. Yeah, because all Phire.
Oh, the pup list. Yeah.
Or
pup list. Sorry.
All right, Griffin. Well, good luck this weekend. I'm sure we'll text you. Thank you for coming on the show once again.
Thank you, Matt and Matt. I'll be continuing to listen. Have a great rest of the show, guys.
Thanks for coming on, Griff.
Talk to you soon.
Had to leave us with a go Bills.
Go Bills. I mean, yeah, man. I mean, we talked about it. Dominant 2 wins in the last 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. Not against the best teams. This is going to be their true test.
Absolutely.
Throughout this season, the Dolphins and the Bills both going for that AFC East number 1 seed.
And maybe the top 2 teams in the AFC.
In the AFC in general.
I mean, every time I doubt Patrick Mahomes, he comes back and slaps me in the face, so I'm not going to put my mortgage on that. But I think those might be the 2 top in the AFC right now. So we'll see how it goes going forward. But we got a couple more injuries that we should hop on through here, huh?
Yeah, a couple more injuries. Let's run through them. Rams all-world wide receiver Cooper Kupp will return in Rams Week 5 game. So not this week, but the week following against the Eagles. Excellent for fantasy owners. Excited to see him back.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Saints newly acquired quarterback Derek Carr this season, likely out, unfortunately, for the next 4 weeks with a shoulder injury, likely an AC sprain. He left the game in the third quarter of the Packers game.
Yeah,
where they were up 17-0. I watched. I know you. So you took the Saints. I mean, it was a good pick up until that point.
I wanted the separation.
Yeah, that's always unfortunate when you take the separation. It's going super well, and then out of nowhere, it completely swings. The pendulum goes back the other way. But I was watching this score, just the score update on the plane, and it was 17-3. Then it was 17-10. Then it was 18-17, and I was like, "Holy cow!" They came back, and I watched a highlight, and I couldn't believe. I thought it would be 8-10 minutes left in the third quarter where they started to get it going. It was 2 or 3 minutes left in the third quarter when they first scored that first field goal.
I know. It's crazy how quick Aaron Rodgers. Oh, Jordan Love
Well, maybe
can turn the Packers around. That was intentional, by the way, because of how well Love's been playing and how much he looks like Rodgers on the field. I'm sure everyone's seen the comparisons on Instagram and Twitter and other social medias, but he is balling. And unfortunately, he ruined my separation pick this week, but he's on my fantasy team, so I'm not that upset at the end of the day.
No, I mean, he looks great. I mean, he didn't look great that great in the first half. They couldn't really get anything moving.
No, but no turnovers. He wasn't it wasn't causing the game to go the way that it was. And it was what it was. And, he leads a fourth quarter comeback. Sounds like his predecessors, Favre and Rodgers. Do they have to produce perfect quarterbacks, man? Do they have to do it to us? Every 20 years, they're like, yep, the next one's coming out of the lab now. Like, what's going on with Green Bay? They have a tank in the basement of Lambeau that produces perfect quarterbacks. Oh.
I mean, the crazy thing is that it's also perfect quarterbacks that have sat behind their predecessor for 3 years each before they started playing.
People at work, they give like their 2 to 4 weeks notice, depending on where they work. Did Rodgers and Favre no? They were like, yeah, 3-4 years from now, I'm gonna crap the bed. I'm gonna want to leave. So draft someone now, and he'll sit behind. Is that like how they work? Is the Packers organization so well thought out that even the guys playing for them want them to succeed in the future? Like the Rodgers text, you see the text after the Bears win?
Yeah.
I'm glad you're keeping ownership, buddy. Like, come on, man. Come on. Give someone else a chance. Give Jared Goff a chance. God.
They figure out a way to have a great quarterback, and they have had. I mean, Packers fans have been blessed. We haven't seen. No other team is like this. The quarterback, the 49ers can't even find a quarterback that can stay healthy for long enough to be a franchise quarterback.
The only other team that's semi like it is the Steelers. If Pickett turns out to be the way that they're expecting him, they'll have gone basically from obviously Roethlisberger to Pickett, but I mean, there wasn't very many years where the Steelers were without an elite quarterback. I mean, they obviously Bradshaw, but that's the 70s and 80s. That's a while. And then they had some ups and downs in the quarterback room, but settled with Roethlisberger and hopefully maybe Pickett if he turns out good. I don't know. These teams, some of them just know what they're doing, man. Some want to splurge on a quarterback. Some want to draft one high. Some don't want to do anything. Some don't even really want a quarterback on the field, so they get them all injured in the NFC Championship and then just put in Christian McCaffrey as the quarterback. But I digress.
Long story short, Jordan Love looks really good. He does things every week now. We're seeing more and more of it. Stuff that Rodgers did, these little flick off the back foot throws into the end zone. Led a 17-point comeback against the Saints this week. Jameis Winston didn't play very well. People think that maybe the Jets should trade for Jabu, but I mean, I don't know if that's really going to do much. He can't see the field either, so he's a gunslinger, but he cannot see the field. All right, Derek Carr out for 4 weeks. Unfortunately, getting back to the main point, Jameis Winston. I mean, they can't trade Jameis Winston now because they don't have a quarterback other than Jabu.
No.
So he'll be playing for them at quarterback. Seahawks safety Jamal Williams to make his regular season debut this week on Monday Night Football against the New York Football Giants. Blitz boy coming back to the NFL. Exciting to see.
Oh, shoot.
Number 1 overall pick, Panthers quarterback Bryce Young out of Alabama. His status is TBD against the Vikings this week. He has returned to practice. Do you know what his injury is?
No, I actually don't. I didn't see any information.
Well, he didn't play this week.
Was it his hip?
He didn't play this week, and Andy Dalton stepped up with a quality start.
Yeah, pretty quality start. Pretty quality start. I mean, they still lost, but he played pretty well. He was making the right plays. A couple touchdowns here. Thielen and Chark both scored long touchdowns in the game. Hey, man, you want your guy back. Obviously, you spend the number 1 pick on him. It was an ankle injury. He's on track to play this week, but, we just talked about the Packers. We can mention the Kansas City Chiefs as well in this conversation was with sitting your quarterback until they're ready to go. Now, being the Panthers, you don't have that luxury. Being the Colts, the Texans, you didn't have that luxury coming in. You didn't have the ability to sit. But my thought on injuries like this, when you're so early in your career, is take the week extra if needed. Your team's not going to the Super Bowl this year.
No,
And your coaching staff and your front office should know that. You know, they're realistic with their teams. They should want to win, but they should also want to look to the long term. And so I think a good option here is if he's not 100%, you don't play the guy. He is your future. You spent that number 1 pick on him. You traded up to get him. You know, take his time, let him settle back, give him an extra week to just read and watch film and prep himself for the game. You got a quality start at Dalton. He's been a quality backup and a quality guy in this league for 10 plus years. He's really known how to do it, and he's gotten it done year in and year out. I don't know. I think maybe let Dalton ride a little while, let Young get healthy, let him get acclimated. But in this situation, it's probably a spot where more playing time will help Bryce Young rather than sitting behind a not quality starter.
No, I agree. I think he should play, but I agree with you also that this is a long-term plan for the Carolina Panthers. They hired Frank Reich, longtime head coach in the NFL in recent memory. They have this, so they have the coach in place. He has a staff in place. They have the number 1 pick. Bryce Young has looked good enough. I mean, his offensive line is pretty bad and his weapons are pretty mediocre, but Adam Thielen had a great week this week for whatever reason. He had 100 and something yards.
Yeah, 140 yards or 114 yards. I saw 4 in there somewhere.
Yeah, so you have he has options. It's just he doesn't have better options than a lot of these teams in the league. I mean, they're 0-3 in the NFC South. The rest of the NFC South teams are 2-1, and they already lost to the Saints and they already lost to the Falcons. So you're already 0-2 in division play. They're not going anywhere. We knew this coming into the season.
Yeah, exactly. It was known. I want to just see him healthy, and I want to see him have a long, successful career. And that's just the point of view that I'm coming from. There's no negativity towards him whatsoever. But
no, they should hold him out until he's 100% healthy. I agree with that.
Absolutely.
No reason to rush him back in. Andy Dalton will play well enough for them to compete. Colts rookie quarterback Anthony Richardson returned to practice today. He missed this past week where Gardner Minshew led the Colts to a win in overtime over the Ravens, 22-19. Minshew
mania, bait. I mean, obviously Richardson missed last week. He had the concussion. He's back now. I mean, we've always. This is year 4 of the show, right? Or year 3.
Yes.
We took the COVID year off.
Yep.
Every single one of those years, I've definitely mentioned the fact that I think Gardner Minshew should be a starting quarterback in the NFL. I think we all have mentioned that. You know, I want him to get his chance. He got it on Sunday. Quality start against a top-tier NFL football team. Got the win in overtime. Played great. I love Anthony Richardson. Huge, physical, athletic specimen. Truly is. Had 2 rushing touchdowns in the game he got hurt in against the Texans. It's just the luck of the draw, man. And unfortunately, Minshew, you're just not doing enough to be on that field. Richardson's gonna be balling. He is a freak. He's gonna get the plays over you. They spent the 4th pick on him. It's gonna happen. So Minshew mania, go in the back pocket for a couple weeks, maybe the rest of the season. You got to step aside. It's Richardson time in Indianapolis.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when he's healthy, Anthony Richardson is gonna come back. He's looked good, honestly, very good. I mean, passing will come. It's still gonna take some time. We knew that coming in. As a prospect, he was not a passer. He was an athletic freak that could run, and he ran for 2 touchdowns in the Texans game, which one of them was the concussion play where he got tackled in the end zone and hit his head on the turf. So they had to sit him this past week, but Gardner Minshew came into the game and played a well enough game, and they ran the ball really well. Zach Moss had 122 yards on the ground, and it's not like this Ravens team is bad. They came in 2-0 this week. and now the Colts are 2-1. Gardner Minshew, I listened to, they had interviewed during the week John Harbaugh, the coach of the Ravens, before their game this week. And they asked him about Gardner Minshew and the difference in preparing for him versus Anthony Richardson. And he said, yeah, Anthony Richardson brings a lot on the ground. He's good, but we're kind of built for that. We're good at stopping. Well, they weren't great at stopping the run actually this week, so it could have been different. But he was like, they're both gonna give us problems. But he was like, honestly, to be honest with you, Gardner Minshew throughout his career has given us problems in the NFL in general. Yeah, so given the problems in the NFL in general, and he played really well. And he went 27 to 44, 227 yards and a touchdown, and it was good enough to win. They won 22-19 in overtime against the Ravens, and I was on my flight updating the scores in this, and I was honestly shocked that they won this game. But I mean, good for them. The Ravens, I think, were 7-point or maybe 8.5-point favorites going into this game. So Zach Smola took them in his suicide pool for them to win. So great for the Colts. The Colts are playing better than we anticipated. Also, another one of these teams will continue with the injuries while Luigi's away. Raiders quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo entered concussion protocol following this week against the Steelers. He did not play very well. He has 6 interceptions over 94 attempts this season. Meanwhile, he only threw 4 last year and threw 308 attempts. Luigi, I was just talking about your buddy Jimmy Garoppolo. Yeah, how he's not playing as well. I mean, he's thrown some interceptions this year already. 6 was the number I just mentioned. And
did you mention
concussion protocol?
Was it the 8 he threw in all of last year with the 49ers?
4. He threw 4 last year.
4. It was only 4. Holy cow.
300 attempts and threw 6 in 94 so far.
And that's not necessarily Jimmy G being a terrible quarterback, right? That's just showing you the statistics of what an offense can do for a quarterback. He's had to air it out a lot more than he's typically comfortable with in the past couple of games with the Raiders. He has these big wide receiver targets that he didn't really have until his last couple of years in San Francisco. I mean, he's got Adams and Myers, who have both been playing very, very well. I mean, I don't even need to say that Devontae Adams playing very well. But he's taking more risks, and Josh McDaniels is making sure he takes those risks, and it's clearly affecting his gameplay. Although, you watch his games and you'll see the 6 interceptions that he's thrown through 3 weeks, which looks very bad on paper. I will agree. But the way he's managing this offense, I think, in these games has been very, very decent. He's shown that he is a game manager and that he needs a system around him to succeed. And I think it needs to be a big sign to that offense and Josh McDaniels specifically that we might need to cool off a little bit and use Jimmy Garoppolo in the way that he is supposed to be used, not the way that you want to use him. A thing I always go back to from Josh McDaniels' mentor, Mr. Bill Belichick, his big thing, his coaching philosophy is you build your team to your players, not your players to your team. And this is a perfect example of a place where McDaniels needs to take a step back, realize he doesn't have a quarterback who could chuck downfield at a high rate, and really retool this offense to be a winning team, because their defense has played very, very well for the expectations that were had coming into this year.
I agree. And I think a good point that you mentioned is that he's not a deep ball thrower, and we never saw him do that in San Fran. Yeah. And I don't want to call him a system quarterback, but when you're in that system, it makes it a lot easier.
I think he's proved that he's a system quarterback.
Yes. And so, yeah, those middle to short to medium throws are much more in between the hashes, what he likes to do.
Yeah.
And clearly he's been able to find Devontae Adams. He had 44 fantasy points this week.
Yeah, Devontae has had no shortage of catching the ball, and Jacoby Myers either on the other side of the field has been great. I mean, he missed week 2 with the concussion, but came back, had a good week this week, and week 1 he scored. He found the end zone. So, I mean, hey, man, I wish Garoppolo nothing but the best, and I wish him good health. Seeing who's their starter or who's their backup?
Is it Aiden O'Connell?
Aiden O'Connell from Purdue.
Is he starting this week?
Seeing him play, well, it's not official yet.
We'll see.
But most likely he will be. Yeah, man, strange for sure.
Yeah, I mean, they're 1-2. They were 1-1 before going into last week and losing to the Steelers. Crazy enough, they are second in the AFC West. but they've only put up 45 points and have given up 77. So they definitely won't be last. The Broncos are leading that. It's too bad we don't have Zach on here right now. I'm sure he's got a lot to talk about. He had some crisis in the middle of, was it yesterday or Monday when he was texting us? All right, we'll get to that in a second. Let's finish the injuries. Texans cornerback Derek Stingley placed on IR, likely out 6 to 8 weeks with a hamstring injury. That's quite unfortunate for them. He's played pretty well in the last 2 seasons, and they're a young team that can't really afford to lose depth, because that's when a team like the Texans will start to play worse. Jets O-lineman Dwayne Brown to the IR with hip and shoulder injuries. A Jets O-line that doesn't need this right now. Clearly, their O-line did not hold up as well as, they didn't hold up very well at all on the left side against the Pats.
No.
At all. Yeah. Ravens running back Gus Edwards is in concussion protocol. They have a couple of running backs that they've been using, but Jacob Dobbins obviously is out for the year. Justice Hill, I don't know if he played this past week.
Still out. He didn't play this past week. They did pick up Kenyon Drake and Melvin Gordon, who both had plenty of snaps.
Kenyon Drake. He played for them last year.
I know. They brought him back, him and Melvin.
All right. Yeah, so, it's definitely a short running back room, unfortunately, already 3 weeks through the season. And then some non-injury news. Chargers cornerback J.C. Jackson failed to appear in court in Massachusetts, right?
Yep, Massachusetts.
Because it's when he was
speeding
with
ticket
the
from
Patriots.
2021, yeah.
And as a result, was a healthy scratch for Sunday's game against the Vikings. We're not sure if he's going to play this week either. He could be a healthy scratch as well for these legal issues. If you're a Chargers fan, this is just annoying at this point, because he didn't play at all last season because he was hurt. Now he's got legal issues that he's dealing with, and Patriots fans are probably a little bit happy because he wouldn't have played for them either. So,
yeah, it's really weird.
It's unfortunate for them.
It is. He's likely to be back within the next few weeks.
Yeah, I hope so for Chargers fans. But that's the injuries, as we always do. We running through them at 8:08. Before we get to the picks, Luigi, is there anything we want to touch on that we haven't yet?
Do we have
in terms of the talks?
Dolphins? Do we have?
We can touch on the
them?
Dolphins if there's any Dolphins fans. Dolphins are dominant. Dolphins won by 70 to 20, 50 points. Made the Giants loss against the Cowboys look a little bit better, which is good for Giants fans. But the Broncos had no answer. The Dolphins are great, but this could also be a result of the Broncos being terrible in a way. So, you have both of those things, and you created a 70 to 20 game.
Yeah, the stats in that game are absurd. 4 passing and 4 rushing touchdowns. Just, oh, wow. That game was wild to watch. You see Tyreek Hill wide open in the middle of the field on the first drive, and you knew something was going to be cooking down there in Miami. Wow. And there another blowout to mention, because everyone's seen all of the content about the Dolphins. It's been all over the internet. The Bills whooped on the Commanders, as we touched on with Mr. Griffin, 37-3. The Browns whooped on the Titans. The score wasn't as wide, but if you watch the game, the Browns were taking control. They won 27-3. Chiefs took care of the Bears 41-10. That was the easiest win of the week. Funny enough, even though there was a 50-point victory, the easiest win of the week was definitely in Kansas City. There was also a special guest in Kansas City. I don't need Eric's Venmo account, so I'm just going to go ahead and say that Miss Taylor Swift, for all you Swifties out there, if any of you are listening, was at the Chiefs game in Arrowhead in Kansas City to cheer on her friend, more than friend, her buddy, Mr. Travis Kelce, who caught a touchdown in the 41-10 victory. That's the most I'll say about it. Scott Hansen had a great time with her being in the stadium. It was fun to listen to. And, Eagles got it done on Monday Night Football. We talked about the Niners getting it done over the Giants. And obviously the upsets, the Colts one we spoke on, the Saints being up 17-0, but that's kind of the recap of the games. Jets signing Trevor Siemian. I don't know what that's going to do.
I mean, can it get worse is the question.
No, it probably cannot get worse. Probably not. Yeah. And, another saga that's going on, obviously, is Justin Fields with the Bears. You put that down at the bottom there. Just to touch on that real quick, he kind of called out his coaches a little bit for not putting them in the right spot. Mr. Fields, that's not a good move, my guy. You don't want to be doing that so earlier into your career. Now, if you're Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Big Ben, you're one of those guys and you want to call out your coaching staff, you got a little more leverage to do so. But being a third-year quarterback who hasn't proved very much of anything other than the fact that he can run, you're not in the position to do that.
No, he's not. And I feel for him in a way because the Bears' offensive line is garbage, but Justin Fields has not been good throwing the ball.
No.
Which he is an elite runner,
Yep.
which, I mean, it's the running back comparisons are stupid in most cases. And they were stupid with Lamar because Lamar can throw the ball and Lamar won an MVP. Justin Fields, nowhere close to winning an MVP.
No.
And cannot throw the ball.
And if you could remember the season Lamar did it in, it was his third. And Justin Fields does not look like he's going anywhere near Lamar's MVP season.
Exactly. So Justin Fields, he's clearly frustrated. And they even thought about trading him because they had the number 1 pick. And they said, all right, well, are we going to take a quarterback here or are we going to trade out and keep Justin Fields? They decided to trade it to the Panthers, get a ton of picks to build around their team and keep Justin Fields because I think everyone at the time was like, oh, you can't give up on him yet. But now it's year 3 and things are not going well. They're 0-3. They've lost the last 13 games, 12 games.
Yep.
Something 13, like that.
Yeah.
And who do they play this week? They play the Broncos.
This may be the
worst sporting, not even the NFL, worst sports competition of all time.
Yeah, it's going to be one of the bottom of the barrels. There's two games this week, and we'll get to them in the picks. 2 games of unwinning opponents. Obviously, that being one, and the other being the Vikings playing the Panthers this week as well.
Indeed. And so the Broncos are 3-point favorites in that game. So that shows you how poorly the Broncos played last week, but even how much worse the Bears ultimately have been. They got blown out, their doors open by the Chiefs. They are bad. I posted the meme of Chiefs and Dolphins playing in Europe in week 9, and it's Europeans saying, I finally get it now. in respect to football. They're lucky that they're going to get that game. That should have been a game. One of the guys I work with is a huge Dolphins fan. He is quite upset that is not a game in Miami because it would have been, or no, actually it would have been in Kansas City.
Yeah.
And he would have traveled down for that one. But the Europeans in Germany are going to get a great one. So good for them. But yeah, Justin Fields, man, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what Ryan Poles is going to do with him. He's not making the organization look good, both on the field and off the field at the moment. And if they have another terrible season where they end up even with a top 3 pick, this is a very good quarterback class as of now. So, and they have all those picks that they could bundle if they really wanted to move up. I don't know. I mean, Caleb Williams has said that he will have the choice of what team you play for. Do you think you would play for the Bears?
I wouldn't.
I don't think I would either.
I don't know what he's thinking, but if I was him, heck no, man. If I was gonna go back to college, we could go into it, and it's a conversation for the off season. Truly, it's not time to give up on.
It's not time. It's through 3 weeks. They're still. I mean, just the team itself is really bad.
The team is so bad that it's hard to throw it all on him. It'd be one thing if we have videos every week of his wide receivers just wide open in the middle of the field. We don't see that. It'd be crazy if we see just sack after sack after sack coming from his defense. He's one of the top corners or DB rooms in the league. He doesn't have any of these things at all. his linebackers have been playing good. Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards, the two new acquisitions, been playing well. But that's basically as far as it goes. The offensive line is horrendous. I challenge any of you to name someone on their defensive line as well. Please, if you can do it, I would love to see it. They're just horrendous. And you can't just keep continuing year in, year out, blaming the woes of your franchise on your quarterback when you cannot be doing the right things around them.
Right. I mean, it's ultimately not 100% Justin Fields' fault, but regardless, he looks in a way like when he throws the ball like Zach Wilson. He just throws it into coverage and I don't know. Mahomes was asked about it I guess probably before the Bears game, or maybe even after. I don't know if it was before or after, but they asked him what, in his mind, what advice he would give to Justin Fields. And he said, you need to stop thinking about it. You need to just trust yourself and play, which I mean, it's a mental game. It 100% is.
That was right after he came out and said that his coaches weren't putting him into the right position to play football and that he was thinking too much. So Mahomes responded with, like Matt said, saying, hey, trust your gut, go with what you think. And obviously, I forget if that advice was before or after the game, but it clearly was not.
I think it was before.
I don't think it was implemented on Sunday, nor would I think it have made any sort of difference, but we'll see. We will continue to watch Justin Fields for the next.
We will continue to monitor year 3 quarterback Justin Fields. Before we get into the picks, something that I don't want to go into in depth on, but I think is quite funny. Colin Kaepernick sent a letter to the Jets. I mean, if I had $100 or even a dime for every time we have had to mention Colin Kaepernick's name in the last 3 years of this show, I would be quite wealthy at this point. And he hasn't even played. He hasn't played. He hasn't
even been on a roster. Yeah.
Is the bank account getting low? Like
bank account's got to be low, man. He probably, you know what? I'm not going to go there on him because that's fair to say his bank account could be getting low. But I'll go towards he's probably bored as hell. He probably wants to be doing work. He probably wants to be playing ball. I don't blame him for trying every single time. But guy, come on. Come on, guy.
A letter to the
Jets, released by J. Cole to the Jets. Come on, guy. Come on. We could do better than this.
The script's going crazy, dude. The script.
This year's script be wild.
Taylor Swift is now involved. Okay, so what Luigi was saying earlier was Eric bet against us. Eric obviously couldn't make it to the show, but he bet against us that if we didn't say anything about Taylor Swift, he would give us his Venmo balance, which we both just talked about Taylor Swift. But it's the script, dude. She's a part of the NFL now, which is
she did the 400%. You see, Travis Kelce jersey sales went up 400%.
A lot of people like that I posted that. I mean, especially girls, because it's nuts.
It's crazy. It's worlds colliding. I love to see it for the game of football.
It's great. It honestly is great for the game.
And honestly, shout out Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. If they're dating, amazing. Great for them. They're both incredibly talented human beings. If they're just friends, great job. Publicity stunt achieved. Like, you're doing the right thing for yourself. So shout out to them for making the right move at the end of the day.
Yeah, she brings money to a lot of places, and she's already bringing it to the NFL after one sighting at a game.
One sighting. Now you have hundreds of Chiefs fans.
Yeah. I forget. Yeah, I mean, Travis Kelce is very popular, but I mean, she's just on a different level.
There's a trend on TikTok right now where girlfriends go up to their boyfriends saying that Taylor Swift made Travis Kelce what he is. I watched one this morning. A guy's lacing up his boots. He was a military guy. He's lacing up his boots, and his girlfriend says, "So do you think that Travis Kelce is just made because of Taylor Swift or something along those lines?" And his face just goes, drops. He's like, Are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding me? one of the gentlemen I work with, Jake, him and I were having a conversation. He said to me, he goes, Travis Kelce's bigger than Taylor Swift, right? And I go, not quite. But there's no shot I could agree with this TikTok trend. Travis Kelce was fully cemented as he's already a Hall of Famer. He was a Hall of Famer before any of these Taylor Swift rumors came in, and he will continuously be a Hall of Famer. Now he's just in the Hall of Fame for, being with Taylor Swift in some sort of capacity.
I mean, from a guy's perspective, on an everyday basis, Travis Kelce means more to us than Taylor Swift.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
To the world population,
no, to the economy,
the US and beyond, the US economy, completely propped up by one person named Taylor Swift.
Incredible. Shout out them, man.
Yeah, you can't deny her success. And she is incredibly popular. Is obviously doing this Era tour, which I don't know, is she over with that or is she still doing it? I mean, regardless, she's making a ton of money. She definitely makes more than Travis Kelce. So in terms of, she's definitely wearing the pants in that relationship in terms of the funds. But Travis Kelce's not making a shy amount either from a regular person.
Definitely not.
So I'm excited to see where this goes. I mean, it seems like she's already getting into it with Donna Kelce, the mother of Jason and Travis. So
listen, I love to see it. More media coverage, the better, in my opinion.
And she brings a lot of it. Everywhere I looked on social media, it was her. And meanwhile, the Chiefs are blowing out the Bears.
And nobody gave a crap. No one even cared.
Bro, the Chiefs,
the Chiefs could have scored 1,000 points and given up 0. No one would have cared.
They were up 33-0, and all anyone cared about was Travis Kelce or Taylor Swift celebrating in the box. Like they were having a dominant performance in week 3.
And you know what? To fairness to all of these people on TikTok doing this trend, that might be telling right there. Maybe I understand where you're coming from because no one gave a crap about that football game. It was all about her.
Right, exactly.
So funny.
All right, anything else before we hop into the picks here?
No, man, I need to beat you this week though.
Dude, we've been tied up here, and I got
tied up for 2 weeks. Oh, you're killing me, man. I needed the separation. The Saints got me.
Yeah, dude. I thought I was beat on that. I was like, damn, he's gonna get me on that game. And then we all lost the Jaguars.
Yep.
We all lost the Cowboys.
Yep.
And then we both. I had to go with the Steelers because I was like, I'm not losing this game to him if I pick the Raiders here.
I'm glad you also. I don't know why you would have picked the Raiders regardless.
I was only going to take them because they were at home. I mean, they ultimately only lost by 5, but the Steelers' defense is too good. They're great. Yeah. So all right. So I am still the lead dog in going into week 4, 34-14. Zach is 26-22. Luigi is 32-16, 2 games back from me. And then Eric, 4 games back from him at 28-20. Thursday night football, Lions 2-1, 1.5-point favorites at the Packers 2-1 in Green Bay. Green Bay getting back-to-back home games, a night game, their first one of the season. This is interesting, Luigi. I don't know here.
It's hard not having a third person doing these picks because I don't want to go first, and I know you don't want to go first.
I don't want to go first either.
Because we have quite a bit of toss-ups on this week's picks, so it's a little different than normal. You know what, though? I'll throw my hat in the ring. I love how the Lions are playing. I really do. And, a less than impressive win from Green Bay kind of tilts me a little bit more towards Detroit. Their defenses look stellar. Their offenses look great. This is just going to be a fireworks show. But now I realize that Green Bay's at home.
Yeah, I mean, at home back-to-back weeks, they play very well at home. Obviously, they probably should have lost if Derek Carr stayed healthy against the Saints. And the Saints also missed a field goal at the end of the game to beat them 46 yards, which very shocking. Lions are the last ones to win in this series. They beat Rodgers in his final game as a Packer in Week 18 last year. This is tough, man. I mean,
I'm gonna go Detroit. I'm gonna go with my gut opinion here. I love Jordan Love, and I love how the Packers have been playing. but I really think this is the Lions' year to win the division, and they need this win to do so.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Is Aaron Jones playing? Is he going to come back?
He will be. Yeah, he will be playing this week. He was on the brink last week. I know.
All right, I've been riding with the Packers. Let's split it. I'm going to take the
No,
Packers.
don't do me like that. Okay, you need to go first on the
we'll rotate.
Every time we have a toss-up, we need to rotate.
All right, yeah. So I'm going to take the Packers.
Right.
Saturday morning football in
Sunday
London.
morning.
Oh, Sunday morning.
Sorry.
Sunday morning football in London at 9:30 a.m. East Coast time, 6:30 West Coast Pacific. Falcons 2-1 at the Jaguars 1-2, 3-point favorites to the Jaguars. The Jaguars aren't playing as well as we thought they would coming into the season. Falcons kind of got humbled this week with a 20-6 loss against the Lions. I'm going to ride with the Jaguars at home once again. They lost to the Texans, but I'm thinking that was a little bit of a fluke, and the Texans have been playing pretty well. I'm going to ride with the Jaguars. Hopefully they can get a quick bounce back here.
Yeah, I'm going with Jacksonville as well. I like them to bounce back, really. That's the main point of all of this. And they always perform well in London, and they love London. So,
yes, they do. First London game of the season. They will be in London for back-to-back weeks. They play on their Toy Story characters this week, which is going to be
it's going to be cool to see, honestly.
Yeah, well, I'm interested to see how they do it. And then next week they stay out there. They're playing again. I mean, Jaguars, you talk about America's team, Jaguars are London's team.
100%. And did you know the reason for that? Did you see that article the other day?
I have not.
So Mr. Salid Khan, the owner of the Jaguars,
the owner, yeah,
he signed a deal with the NFL when they officially decided they were going to expand to Europe and have games in Europe. He signed a contract that the Jaguars have to have a game in London every single year, because he was very big on growing the international game and very big on growing the Jaguars fan base. So he was one of the big pushers to get them to go into Europe, and he was rewarded with having a game in London every year.
Interesting. I didn't know that. I honestly thought that they just played in London because they were the worst team every year.
I thought so too originally.
I thought they were just like, all right, yeah, London wants a game. We'll just put the Jaguars there every season. But now that makes more sense. They're playing 2 games there this year. So yeah, they're getting there. Khan's getting his fair share out of London for his Jaguars. So Jaguars for us, 1:00, first 1:00 game on Sunday. Bengals 1-2, 2.5-point favorites at the Titans 1-2. Titans got blown out. We didn't touch on that game at all, but blown out by the Browns. I mean, the Browns #1 in a lot of categories on defense.
Their defense looks stellar. Their defense really looks stellar. And I mean, the Titans they look flat. Derrick Henry can't run the ball. He had 2 fantasy points, like 20 rushing yards, which is pathetic. I mean, but the Browns, they look firing. They are firing all cylinders. And, the Titans, it's just a weird team with not enough flash for me to be an actual NFL team right now. So this week I'm going to take Cincinnati.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna take Cincinnati as well. Cincinnati, I mean, overall have not looked great. They barely won 19-16 against the Rams this week to get their first win. That would have been bad if they dropped to 0-3. But I still do think that this is a better team than the Titans. I hope that Joe Burrow can figure it out with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and finally open up their offense a little bit this week. Because as you said, the Titans have not looked good. Cincinnati for us, 1:00, the worst game of the week, possibly the worst game of the season so far. Broncos 0-3, 3-point favorites at the Bears 0-3. This is, I don't even know. What should we do here? This is tough.
Tie? You want to go tie?
No, I'm not going to go tie. I am disappointed in the way that Sean Payton has held this team. He hasn't even held them together, is what I was going to say. But I guess operated with this team. They look okay on their first couple drives, and then they get blown into oblivion and lose. They lost a lead against the Commanders. They got blown out against the Dolphins. I mean, more than blown out. Worst lopsided win ever.
Close game against the Raiders week 1, but
Yeah, I mean, other than last week, the Bears have been fairly competitive at least. I think I'm leaning the Bears. I don't know. Like, I want to know if Zach is taking the Broncos in this game. I mean, these are just both terrible teams.
I think I'm going to have to go with Denver. I think matchup-wise, I think I'm going to go with Denver. Because if you think about it, the Bears, when they throw in the ball, it's only going to DJ Moore and Cole Kmet. And you're going to have Pat Surtain to line up with DJ Moore all over the field. Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards, like I mentioned earlier, have been playing well comparatively to the rest of the team. So Cole Kmet might be a less of a factor. Wait, they're on the same team. What am I saying? No, the Broncos. Their linebacker.
Yeah,
their linebacker core has been playing very, very well. So they should
win this game.
The Broncos should win this game. So I'm going to take them. I really want to take a tie, but I'm not taking a loss if Matt's going to pick a team. So I'm going to go with Denver.
Yeah, I don't want to lose this game, but
you could go with Chicago. That's fine. You do you, brother. But
no, I think I expected the Broncos to be not good, but a lot better than they have been.
Yeah, it's Russell Wilson compared to Fields. Like,
yeah,
I would like to think this is an experience game. Like,
this is a must win. The Bears have lost 13 in a row.
They could both take the loss, and nothing's going to matter.
Well, I'm just saying, like, for Sean Payton's sanity, he has to win this game.
Yeah, exactly. You're absolutely
right. All right, I'll take Denver for now, I guess. I want to hear what Zach says, so we'll talk to him later in the week. 1:00 Buccaneers 2-1 at the Saints 2-1. 3-point favorites to the Saints. Saints will likely, or they will be without Derek Carr. They are getting Alvin Kamara back, I believe, which is interesting for them. Tampa has played better than we thought they would. This is interesting.
I have a team written down, but
yeah, I see that.
I didn't consider Kamara.
There's a lot of toss-ups this week.
There is. There's a lot of close spreads. Really is.
You want to hold off on this?
No, there's no injuries. We can't hold off on it.
Yeah, that's true. Well, Derek Carr is out.
Yeah, but he's out. Like,
Jabu Winston is playing instead.
Did you take Denver for the game, or did you take Chicago?
Yeah, I'm taking Denver.
Oh, okay. You pick this one. You're going first.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Saints. I like the Saints at home.
Their defense is stellar.
Their defense has been stellar, and I mean, it all goes back to that video that I saw earlier in the season where they don't play great quarterbacks. Baker Mayfield has played much better than anticipated, but their defense, for whatever reason, their DBs they're the top 3 in passes deflected. Yeah, it's like 6, 5, and 5 this season.
Really impressive. Yeah.
So I'm gonna ride with New Orleans.
That paired with Kamara coming back, I love their defense, really, and I don't like how it matches up with the Buccaneers with Baker at quarterback. So I'm going to go with New Orleans as well for a bounce back win. They should be 3-0 right now.
Yes, they should be. So we'll see them. We both taking the Saints. All right. 1:00 Commanders 2-1 at the Eagles 3-0, 8-point favorites to the Eagles. One of the easier games of the week. Eagles have been stellar. I think I took them pretty much in every game last year, and I've taken them every time so far this year.
Yeah, so, I'm going to take them as well. They're 3-0. They looked this week was their best game. Obviously, they looked much better against Tampa Bay than they looked the first 2 weeks, and the strength of both of these teams is in their offensive and defensive lines. I just think the Eagles, with the experience they have and the weapons they have outside of their offensive line, are going to take this one home.
I agree. Philly for both of us. 1:00 Dolphins 3-0 at the Bills 2-1. 3-point favorites to the Bills. Potentially the game of the week, as we mentioned. I mean, the Bills have played very well and have won the majority of times. The only time I mentioned that they lost against the Dolphins was in Miami when it was like 100 and something degrees. I think this is going to be a split for them this season, but I do think that the Bills will beat them in Buffalo. I mean, the Dolphins have been very good though, so it's going to be. I won't be mad if I lose this game, but I'm going to take Buffalo.
I'm going Buffalo as well at home. I told Griff good luck to the Dolphins because I think that the Bills are going to beat the crap out of them, and I do actually. I think they come off of a very flashy game where they're all over the media, and they're going to probably get smacked in the mouth to start the game, and the Bills are going to want to do that to them, and they're going to love doing that to them. And I'm going to take the Bills this week.
All right, Bills for us. 1:00. Rams 1-2 at the Colts. 2-1, 1.5-point favorites to the Colts. Rams ended up losing to the Bengals. Their offensive line didn't hold up as well as it has been. They had 6 sacks. The Bengals, that is, against the Rams. And the Colts beat the Ravens with Gardner Minshew. I see you have a pick.
I do have a pick. I'm going to take the Rams.
Second guessing here.
No, I'm not second guessing.
It.
I'm taking the pick. I just don't know why I'm taking the pick necessarily. It just feels right to me. I mean,
this is an interesting
game.
I
think
it's going to be competitive.
I'm going to stick with it. Yeah, I'm going with the Rams. I don't really have much of a reason except Puka Nacua.
Yeah, Puka Nacua has been really good. Unfortunately, they're not going to get Cooper Kupp back until next week in week 5. But I think I'm going to take the Colts. I like what the Colts have been doing. Gardner Minshew or Anthony Richardson. Well, yeah, we're only separated on 2 games so far. This game and then the Detroit game.
Cool. So I'm fine with it.
We could even out. So yeah, I'm going to take the Colts. I like what they're doing. They're at home. And Anthony Richardson or Gardner Minshew, I think they're going to be competitive, and their defense has played better than I anticipated. So we'll see. We're split. Rams and Colts. 1:00. Ravens 2-1 at the Browns 2-0. Oof. 2.5-point favorites to the Browns at home once again.
I'm confident in this pick.
Okay, tell us why.
I'm very confident in this pick. The Browns defense has looked absolutely amazing. Like top tier, top 5 defense right now with how they've played the past 3 weeks. Their DBs are so good. Grant Delpit has stepped up huge this season and has been an absolute monster. They still have oh wow, I just went blank. Ohio State cornerback. He wore number 12. Denzel Ward. Thank you. I literally pictured the voice in my head. I just couldn't hear Gus say Denzel Ward. I'm confident in this team. I don't really love talking about the offense because of the guy that's at the quarterback position there. I don't like giving him any sort of media attention, but he played well. Jerome Ford stepped up. They have a good running back by committee going down there in Cleveland. Offensive line stellar. The Ravens coming off a tough loss. I think this would be a time they take a bit of a tumble. So,
yeah, I agree. I think I like Believeland in this week too.
This one's for you.
I mean, Ravens lost to the Colts obviously in overtime, but the Ravens only ran the ball really with Lamar Jackson, and they didn't throw the ball at all. And
it's going to be harder to do both of those
much better defense. And I mean, Sean Watson knows that he just has to play competently and formidable.
Yeah, and his defense to take care of him.
This defense will take care of him, and their offensive line is great, and their run game has proved to be really good too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the Browns looking good so far. I mean, 2-1. They are obviously an AFC North battle, but they're at home again.
Yeah.
So both Cleveland for us. 1:00. Steelers 2-1, 3-point favorites at the Texans 1-2. We both said how we liked what the Texans are doing. This is a weird game though. I do think that the Steelers defense will create more fits for CJ Stroud than he has faced so far yet though.
Absolutely. It's it right there. That's it right there. Truly. That's the reason I'm picking. I do not like the Steelers offense even one bit, but their defense is in that top 5. Right now, the TJ Watt as who said it? Schiffers, Loisel, as Ryan Loisel points out, TJ Watt's on pace for 34 sacks this season. So isn't that wild? Isn't that wild?
Well, he'll break the record then.
I'm definitely going Pittsburgh. Their defense has been insane.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to take Pittsburgh as well. I hate their offense. I hate Matt Canada. I'm sure Ryan Lloyd's out. I mean, me and him text every week. It's just
I
like
hate
it's
him
so
too.
well. It's so disappointing because it's like Kenny also has made a lot of bad throws and bad decisions, and so it's not all on Matt Canada. But this defense is too good for this offense to be so poor. It's kind of in a similar way to the Patriots. It's like they can't do anything on offense. And then the defense is out on the field the whole game, and they're able to hold it. So,
won't be able to happen all year, but
no. But the Texans, I mean, they just lost Derek Stingley. C.J. Stroud has not played this good of a defense yet, so this is going to be a huge test for him.
Yeah, never in his life has he played a defense like this. Like, never in his life.
No, not even Michigan.
No.
Final 1:00 game, Vikings 0-3, 3.5-point favorites at the Panthers 0-3. We mentioned Bryce Young is dealing with an ankle injury. Andy Dalton will be playing. Minnesota is probably the best 0-3 team in the league right now. They are clearly due for a win. So I'm going to take Minnesota.
They're so due. And you know what? Johnny Lovelace hopped in the chat and asked for our lock of the week. John, the 3.5 is the lock of the week, in my opinion. Lock it in. Alternate line of 6.5. I love as well. Get after it.
Yeah, I think Justin Jefferson's going to have a day here. And Kirk leads the league in passing yards right now.
With an 0-3 touchdowns.
Right, with an 0-3 team. I mean, the defense has not been good, but they've been in games and just have not been able to win them.
Yeah, they've also played 3 pretty formidable opponents too.
Oh yeah, the Chargers, the Eagles, and then the Bucks, who are better than we thought they would be. So and they made all of those one-score games.
Yeah.
So if any team is due, I mean, this was the one-score team last year.
Yeah, they just ended up on the right side.
Games.
Yeah, they ended up on the right side last year, and this year they've been on the wrong side. They're due. They really are. They're not going to be unwinning for. I really don't think past Sunday.
I agree. I think I'm going with Minnesota this week. So that was the final 1:00 game. 4:05 Raiders 1-2 at the Chargers 1-2. 6-point favorites to the Chargers. Chargers played a lot better last week than they have been playing. They finally got a win on the board. I'm going to take the Chargers and Justin Herbert.
Absolutely going with the Chargers and Herbert. Garoppolo might not even play, which, I mean, I know he's thrown 6 interceptions, but it's
Aiden O'Connell.
It's still not – he's still better than, whatever O'Connell's going to go put out there. You know what? Maybe prove me wrong, O'Connell, but too much firepower on the Chargers with Eckler probably returning this week. So,
right, and they went 0-2 in those games. Very close games with no turnovers. They were bound to get a win. They got one last week against the Vikings. If Brandon Staley can be a competent coach, then they should win this game at home. 4:25 Patriots 1-2 at the Cowboys 2-1. 7-point favorites to the Cowboys. Cowboys, as we mentioned, lost to the Cardinals, which was a very big surprise for us. Patriots beat the Jets 15-10. This offense, I'm taking Dallas. This offense I think this defense of the Cowboys, even without Trayvon Diggs, I think Micah Parsons is going to play a lot better this week against the Patriots, and both great defenses. But I just think the Cowboys offense will be able to do a little bit more than the Patriots.
I agree. And the Patriots offense is not going to be able to do anything against the Cowboys defense. So, definitely taking Dallas.
All right, Dallas for us. 4:25 Cardinals 1-2 at the 49ers 3-0. 14-point favorites to the 49ers. Biggest spread of the week. I mean, if they find a way to beat the 49ers, we should call the Arizona Cardinals one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
but there's zero chance the 49ers win this game. No shot. There's no shot, man.
Yeah, back-to-back home games for them.
Yeah, taking the Niners for sure.
Yeah. Definitely taking the Niners. I mean, their offense and defense is going to overpower this team, I think. And I don't think they're fakers like the Cowboys may be.
Want to hear a bummer, though? Next Sunday, not this coming Sunday, I'm obviously in Croatia.
Mm-hmm.
Cowboys-Niners Sunday Night Football. It'll be 2:30 in the morning when the game kicks off.
Oh, Lord. Are you going to stay up for that?
I guess I'm going to be up all night, baby.
Yeah, because I guess there's no way for you to record it unless you just watch the highlights the next day.
There's no point in me recording it because as soon as I wake up, the first thing I'm going to do is check the score. So,
right, yeah. Yeah, and that'll be either a very good opening Phire phone or very disappointing. So that's a good one. That's exciting. All right, Sunday Night Football. So 49ers for us. Sunday Night Football, 8:20, Chiefs 2-1, 9.5-point favorites. The second biggest spread of the week at the New York Jets, 1-2. We mentioned that this game was put on prime time before the season was started, thinking that Aaron Rodgers would be in this game. We will either see Zach Wilson again or Trevor Siemian. So I think Mahomes will take care of business here. I'm taking Kansas City.
I think Patrick Mahomes will be fine, and Kansas City showed that they could beat up on bad teams, and they're going to do so with a little less ease. Obviously, the Jets defense, but there's some huge turmoil in the Jets locker room right now, so I have no faith in them getting a win.
Yeah, we didn't touch on that, but
we actually didn't. Probably something we should have talked about.
Yeah, Jets
more.
Jets defense is unhappy with Robert Saleh because he's defending Zach
Wilson.
Wilson.
To stick with Wilson. It's tough being that was your first move as a head coach was to draft this guy. Like knowing Saleh from the interviews when he was with San Francisco, he's a big loyalty guy. And like if he puts his love into you, he wants to see the product out of it, and he's going to stick with you until he can't. And I think that's a situation here. He came into New York, he drafts Wilson to start his career, and he's like, all right, this is my guy. I'm going to build with this guy. And I think he really wants it to work out, but it's hard. I think he's at a crossroads all of a sudden now. And you got to keep the team rather than keep the quarterback.
This is a crossroads for him, especially because loyalty, obviously, as you said, is big in his mantra and his personal beliefs. But he's at a crossroads potentially with his job also.
Yes, exactly.
So especially if the media is already gaining traction of this early, get rid of Zach Wilson is what they're saying. The defense is too good for this to be happening. And the team clearly is already, expressing it themselves. I mean, there was a lot of heated arguments between Garrett Wilson, Michael Carter, everybody on the sideline. And not only are the Jets not throwing the ball well, they didn't run the ball at all. I think Breece Hall averaged 1.4 yards a carry. Like they're not going to win games on offense doing that.
No, absolutely not. And then they lost their most experienced offensive lineman, as we mentioned earlier in the show, and Dwayne Brown. So it's not going to get any better there.
No, absolutely not. So we'll see what happens. We think the Chiefs are going to take this one, though. I think they should. I mean, Jets defense will obviously create a little bit more problems, but that Jets offense is just terrible right now. So they're going to need to change something. Monday Night Football, last game of the week, 8:15. Seahawks 2-1 at the New York Football Giants 1-2. They are 1.5-point favorites somehow. I don't feel very confident about this game, but
the Megalo week.
Yeah, they got 10 days off, so hopefully we'll see Saquon on the field potentially on Monday, maybe Andrew Thomas, so we'll feel a little bit better about ourselves. But this offensive line has been atrocious, and the Seahawks defense hasn't been that great either. They just let off 27 points to the Panthers, so we need to get something going on offense this week against them. This is a weird one. I mean, I'm taking the Giants because I won't be able to take them in the next 2 weeks because they play the Dolphins on the road and the Bills on the road. So 2 teams I won't be able to take them against. But, I guess I'll ride with the Giants one more time.
Yeah. I don't love picking Seattle, but I would.
Right. They haven't been as good as we thought they would be. But
yeah, but I don't think I would like taking the Giants either. So I'm going to have to go with I'm gonna have to go with Seattle. They've been running the ball very well. Their passing game hasn't been as impressive as it was last year. We figured that was going to happen, though. Gino was probably going to fall off the mountain a bit. He hasn't completely fallen. He's just slipped a bit. I'm waiting to see the Seattle defense from last year. Like, I just don't know what happened to it. They add Bobby Wagner, and they got worse. And Bobby Wagner, obviously no spring chicken, but not a bad football player by any means, even in his older age. I'm going to go with Seattle. I just think that there's a lot of opportunities for the Giants to get beat in position battles here. I will say the Giants, they really, really held out against the 49ers last week, big time. Very impressive road game for the Giants against obviously one of the best teams in football. So the number one thing I think of right now is last season after playing the 49ers, teams went 3-14. So
That's an interesting stat.
yeah, so the Steelers got a win after playing the Niners. Obviously, the Rams lose this week after playing the 49ers. And I think, sadly, the Giants are going to fall victim even on the long week.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, we just want the team to be competitive from a Giants fan perspective. And I think they did that for a good amount of the game against the 49ers in Santa Clara. So
you need offensive line help. If you could get two solid offensive linemen in there, maybe mid-season at some point, if you get guys collect enough wins to push for the playoffs. If not, this offseason needs to be finding offensive linemen.
Yeah, it's been too long. It's been the main issue for a very long time.
Way too long for your team.
Yeah, and Joe, I mean, I trust Joe Shane, but like this will next offseason will be year 3 offseason. It'll be the 3rd offseason of his regime, and he's got to do something. And I think they will have more cap to spend. They were still dealing with the Kenny Golladay issue this year. So who's not even on a team?
Not even in the league, bro. He's not even in the league.
Gettleman.
Oh my God.
Gettle God.
Matt Stafford makes wide receivers.
Puka Nacua, baby.
Puka Nacua.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, we're split on the Giants game. We're split on the Rams-Colts game.
We have 3 splits, so
and
something's going to happen this week.
We are split on the Green Bay-Detroit game. So
possible one of us, I overtake you. Possible I fall further back. Possible we only change by 1 or 2 games.
Right. At a minimum, we will change by 1.
Yes.
Likely.
At least.
All right. Well, there's the picks. We'll see what Zach and Eric will take this week, and we'll post it on Sunday. But we greatly appreciate everyone who has listened into this show, to Matt McGrath and Matt McGrath.
The double Matt.
For the hour and 50 minutes that we've been on. Sorry we missed into week 3 and in between week 2, but we're back and we should be consistent from here on out. But it's been Phire Football Radio here on YouTube live every Wednesday night, as we mentioned, at 7 p.m. We appreciate all the previous listeners, people who have been following us, and a quick shout out to Rob Shippers, who joined us this week. We appreciate the chat and the viewership, Rob. So excellent stuff. We'll see you next week. There's a lot of toss-ups this week, Luigi, so we're going to have a lot to talk about next week.
Plenty to talk about, absolutely. There always is plenty to talk about. And I'll leave you with one last thing. Go 49ers.
All right. Against the Cardinals, baby.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Peace.
All right. We are done.